a deep episode. That was a lot. That was a lot. Hey guys, it's your girl Tower Crush, back with another review, and this time it is for BMF on Starz. If you haven't already, please hit my subscribe button down at the bottom. Thank you very much. And again, that was a very deep episode. It was very triggering for me. And it took me a while to gather myself, and I had to watch it twice. And both times I broke down. I'm going to be honest, I'm very mad at the writers on this episode. I'm extremely mad at the writers because I just don't know why they would do that. And when I say that, when I get to it, I'll let you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so Loco is in the club with Meech, and he's basically looking at Terry, and him and Terry had words back in the day, when he was looking for Meech, and Terry sent them to Georgia with some not so nice words, so he ain't really feeling Terry like that. So he's asking Meech why is he here, and Meech had to explain to him, yeah, I know y'all hit it off on the wrong foot, but he's a very intricate part of my business, and blah blah blah. And Loco was like, all right, we'll give it a shot or whatever. And so Meech is, trying to relax in the club, and, Angel's there, and, he sends her away. She's dancing on him, but he sends her away, and she's like, thank you. So they really get their little thing going, and I think it's cute or whatever. Because I really figured she would go back to the pimp, but she ain't went back to him, so I guess she wasn't happy there to begin with. Okay, so she walks off, and if y'all remember last week, Big Teeth, 2 Chainz, Stacks, was pretty much trying to set Meech up. So when I see him, I'm thinking nothing good, nothing nice is going to happen, right? So he walks over to Meech and speaks, but immediately shows Meech that Remy is in the club. Now, Remy's the one that killed his friend Ty. He's the one with the dreads that run the projects over there. So Meech is like, he on some Tupac stuff, so he going to be the first one to go over there and throw hands. And so he goes over there and they start fighting Remy's gang or whatever. And they shut the club down or whatever. So they all outside, and Meech sees, a celebrity, and he's got one of those really nice cars. And so Meech goes over there to check out the car or whatever. And he's showing them, the seats and how they had, he got hydraulic seats and they got hataways and this and this and that and that. So Meech is looking like, I need to get a couple of these. So, as they are conversing and Meech is, really feeling the ride, shots ring out. They scatter and, run for safety or whatever, because why is somebody shooting? And when the dust clears, they realize that their friend Rashawn is from Detroit is actually dead. He was hit with the gunfire. So whoever sprayed the club took Rashawn out. And so, of course, this hits Meech really, really hard in the gut. Okay, so we see Charles, and he done met with Sister Riley. Now, Sister Riley is the one that Lucille had accused of having an affair with Charles, but wasn't having an affair with Charles. So he met with Sister Riley in a diner for breakfast. And he met with her to see if, she could gather the band together and maybe they could, lay down a song that he wrote for Lucille, because he's trying to get his old thing back, honey. He trying to get his old thing back. And my whole thing with that is like, yeah, apologize, do what you need to do to fix your relationship. But Charles, you was not happy. Charles, you would have continued that affair had her friend not decided to end it because you didn't satisfy her that last time. You was more than willing to continue that affair, so why are you trying to get your wife back so bad instead of trying to fix or figure out why it is that you were so willingly able to step out on your wife? Like, Lucille be a dummy. Because once I figured it out that you was willing to continue and the only reason that it ended was because of her, always nothing more for us to talk about, sir. You didn't come to me and tell me about this situation, so I know you ain't on nothing sincere. You on some, I'm sad I got caught stuff. But anyway, so, Charles gives her the song, and, at the same time, while they're celebrating the goodness of the song, one of Lucille's friends actually sees them and, mistakes the interaction as something, you know, romantic when it really wasn't. And then we see that Henrietta, she done got Bryant out. You know, Bryant was still locked up in jail because, you know, he got caught with that gun and, you know, possible stalking charges. So we see Henrietta got him out. Well, she had 2 of her boys go to get him out. And, you know, and it's clear to me, you know, when they turn the music on, that they really about to try to kill Bryant. But I know they're not about to kill Bryant. Bryant is not about to let these 2 punks get him. We don't even know these dudes. Like, it wouldn't be nobody we don't know to actually take Bryant out. Not gonna happen. So I knew whatever they thought they was gonna do, they wasn't gonna do. So when they turned the music on, Bryant kind of thought about his surroundings. And so he went ahead and hit that cigarette lighter. Because he wanted that thing to be hot. Because he knew something was about to go down. So he's like, can I smoke? He's like, yeah, why not? Because dude's thinking, yeah, it's your last cigarette, your last request. Why not? Go ahead and have a cigarette. It'd be your last cigarette. That's what he's thinking. But no, he's thinking wrong. So it's a dude in the back seat. And my whole thing is, if y'all planning on taking out a cop, why are you doing it with a knife? If you're going to take the cop out, just take him out. Either way it goes, blood's going to come out. It's going to be a bigger mess to clean up if it's a gunshot wound, but at least you got a better chance of actually killing them. Why would you try to do it with a knife? Like, serious. I'm like, they can't be serious. This is not going to go well. So, you know, Bryant had already lit the lighter. You know, he had already heated it up. So it wasn't going to take nothing for him to get that lighter and actually use it as a weapon. And that's exactly what he did. So when dude tried to come across him and stab him, you know, Bryant caught his hand. So dude driving's trying to punch on, man, Bryant handled them and treated them like the bozos that they are. So he wound up stabbing one with the knife because he made him drop it once he burnt them. He ain't have no type of fight in him. Like, bro, a little cigarette burn is not supposed to stop you from your mission. Finish the job. Like, but he just let it go. So Bryant got away, which I was like, ooh, y'all gonna be in trouble with the you know, the super emotional lesbian. She's not gonna be happy about this. She's not gonna be happy. She's a very, very volatile human. And Henrietta, I'm sorry, she's got to be the worst character ever written for TV. Because I personally, you know, like a lot of times you watch a show and you can find people in your life that may remind you of certain characters. There's no one in my life that reminds me of Henrietta. Like, I literally know no one that walks around and behaves like this woman. Like, what is this exactly? Like, she's a lesbian. She's mad she's a lesbian. I guess she wish she was a man. And she's got all this built up anger that her father doesn't respect her. And she's out here on some, I'm going to show him stuff. Girl, you need to calm down because your character is given loser. Your character is given trying too hard. Your character is not giving, I don't know what they thought it was going to give, but it's not giving that. And I just hope and pray that you was added to the scene so that you can die this, like, sometimes they put people in the show just so they can have somebody to kill because everybody else in the show is pretty much staples in the show. So I'm really hoping that that's the case with you, Miss Henrietta, and that we won't have to see you next season because, honey, your character is ridiculous. I don't like it at all. Okay, and so we do see T and Meech when they get back to the house. They are arguing over what to do next because T feels like Meech is down here in some war that he has nothing to do with, and that he needs to get up through and let these people fight their own war. And Meech is on some, now we on some loyalty stuff, and I'm trying to build this thing nationwide. I can't be leaving people hanging. And so Meech is like, I'm here now, and I'm a part of it, and it's gonna be what it's gonna be. They took out my boy Ty, so you know I'm not going anywhere. And so T is like, he wants to be more strategic about the way that they attack. And you know, basically Stacks is in Meech's ear, like, it's Remy that shot Rashawn. We need to go and get him. We need to ambush him on his territory, you know, basically. And Meech is like, that's what we're gonna do. And T is like, nah, we need to be smarter about it. But Stacks is like, nah, Remy did that. And, you know, he already had a beef with Remy. So, I mean, it only makes sense that Meech would think that Remy did it. You know, that was pretty easy for him to get him to believe because Remy was in the club and he made sure that Meech saw him so that they could fight and create the diversion so that what really happened could happen. Because we found out that it wasn't Remy at all that did the shooting. It was the MK boys. And Sax knew it was going to be the MK boys because he set it up with them. He was in the car with them when he called Meech in the first place. So there's that. And let's see. We see Henrietta, the boys, they get back and she's like, what happened to Bryant? They let her know that he got away. She feels like she needs to make an example out of one of them. And she makes him fight her. And he's like, I ain't fighting no girl. And that really ticked her off because she don't want to hear she's a girl. She don't want to hear that. Her strap on bigger than your penis. I mean, was they even doing all that stuff in the 80s? I'm pretty sure they didn't have that kind of stuff in the 80s. I don't need to see all that. I just don't. Okay, so once he calls her a girl, Henrietta kind of loses her man. She takes her jacket off, whatever, and she starts hitting on the boy like pop, 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 like really stealing on him. And then eventually, the dudes is laughing at him because he ain't fighting back. And he's like, forget it. So he starts fighting her back. And when he started fighting her back, he really giving it to her. Giving it to her. And she's like, she ain't really got no defense because I don't care how tough you think you are as a woman, you ain't gonna beat no man. That ain't gonna happen. So basically, when he starts beating her butt, he backs her into a wall and she's like reaching for a shank and basically kills this boy because she couldn't kick his ass. Really? I was really like, oh my gosh, she is the worst character ever. And she gonna holler, who's the bitch now? The one that still bleeds for a week every month. That one. That's who the B is. You're still the B in the situation. If you line you up with 10 dudes and they say, hey, B, I bet you they're talking to you. You're the B now. Even more so because you had to use a weapon to overcome him when he was just using his hands. So I didn't like that scene at all. I feel like her character is overdone for no reason. I don't even know why she's there. I'm over her. Totally over her. And hopefully with the events that happened this episode, we won't be seeing her too much more. Her, in the near future. Because one thing I can definitely tell, all of her crew is stupid. None of her plans ever go through. They always get foiled, every time. So I'm hoping that her demise is quick because she's so anxious to be tough that I believe she's going to fall, set a trap and fall into herself. That's what I believe. And that's what I hope for because, again, I'm sick of seeing her. Okay, and so we did see Lucille. She got home from work and the pastor of her new church was at her house, basically with a proposal, and wanted to ask Lucille, would she be her assistant pastor? She said, we can't afford enough to, allow you to quit Wendy's, but maybe in time we can. Because they impressed with the way she volunteers at the church. She secured the biggest donation that the church has ever seen. And, she's just a God-fearing woman and a pillar in the community. And so they wanted to ask her, and she was just like, can I pray on it? And she was like, I wouldn't expect any other answer from you, Lucille. So Lucille gonna think on it and pray on it and get back with her. I did see, we see Angel coming through for Meech, trying to make him feel special while he in the ATL or whatever because, she ain't never really had nobody really take a liking to her the way he has. And she appreciates that. And so she set up this whole private dance for him. And I was like, look at Meech showing his tender dick side too. Because, his brother really tender. And Meech is just as tender as his brother. He's just a little smarter with his tender than his brother is. So I thought it was cute to see, her do her thing. And, truth be told, she ain't no stripper in real life. We know that lady ain't no stripper. She got a hell of a body. She's built real cute, but that girl is a classical dancer. I saw a lot of lyrical. I saw a lot of, but I didn't see a whole lot of, I I didn't see a whole lot of stripper moves. Like she was leaning on the pole, but she wasn't really utilizing that pole the way I would think a stripper would utilize that pole if you're trying to do some sexy dance for your man. But, you know, she did what she could do, and it was some awkward moments, but, you know, it worked for Meech, and, you know, I think he's just really, really falling in love with her. And there's that. Now, we see Lucille's friend come to tell her the news. She's like, where he at? I'm about to pack his stuff for you. Because I seen him cheating on you, girl. And you need to just go be with the good doctor. I said, so they going to call him the good doctor like I've been calling him the good doctor? Well, maybe he's just the good doctor. But yeah, so she done came and gave Lucille the news. Lucille's like, once a cheater, always a cheater. Body, hook, line, and sinker. And the lady didn't mean no harm. She saw what she saw. But that's why they say believe none of what you hear and half of what you see. Half of what you see. What you saw was him touching her hands, but you didn't hear or understand what context that was happening. Now, Charles is a piece of crap, but what we can't do is just assume that he was cheating because he was holding some woman's hand in a diner in broad daylight. We got to use a brain. So Lucille, you know, she got a bat waiting on Charles when he come in. So Charles come in, he like, wait a minute, Lucille, now. Wait a minute, Lucille, now. Wait a minute. So Lucille's like, why would you embarrass me and brought that? And he was like, nah, baby. Nah, baby. I can't be the only one that busted out laughing when this man started singing. Listen, he was like, I made a song for her and I needed her in the band to make the song. And Lucille's like, don't you lie to me. And he's like, no, listen, baby, listen. We didn't see it coming. I said, you better sing it, Charles. You better sing it like you Marvin Gaye. You better sing it like you Teddy P. You better sing it. You better put it down for Lucille. And you know what? All them thirst traps the Charles have been setting throughout the house trying to get Lucille's attention finally paid off. Because at that moment, when Charles finished that song and he put that guitar down, I think he said to himself, now I'll have a servant of that pussy that you got over there that you've been keeping from me. Because she fell right for it. He kissed her, she kissed him back. And she led him backwards up the steps. And you know what that means. When you lead somebody backwards up the steps, you might as well have wild sex. It's about to get steamy. And, you know, so I just think that in that moment was enough for her to give in to his advances. But I don't necessarily think that it was enough for her to say, I'm taking you back and I'm not going to divorce you. Because I think she still feel the way she feels. Because y'all know what she was doing later. Yeah, so she fell in the trap. All them thirst traps, she finally fell in one. But she didn't hurt herself. You know, she definitely got what she needed. And it was from her husband. And, you know, Lucille, she ain't loose in the tail like that. Even though we separated, I'm not going to disrespect you in our marriage like the way you disrespected me in our marriage. Not going to do it. Okay, so we see, I forget her name. The girl that was from the D but lives in Atlanta. She comes in and she tells Meech that he was right about Stacks. He was playing them the whole time because I guess she checked on a couple of her sources and realized that it wasn't Remy that shot Rashad. It was the MK boys. But Stacks wanted them to feel like it was Remy and was basically going to walk them into an ambush. And Meech was like, nah, we got to beat them at their own game. And so, he basically set it up for Angel to deliver a message for him. And, you know, Stacks really made him think that Remy was the one to kill Rashad so that he would want to kill him. So Meech's idea is to go and make a temporary truce with Remy so that they can together attack and defeat the MK boys, because the MK boys have too many people and too much artillery for any one crew to try to handle. They'll wipe everybody out. And, you know, so he thinks that that's the best thing to do. And Terry was just, I think, happy that Meech was smarter than to just listen to Stax, because he didn't trust Stax, because he knew Stax had fallen out with Meech, and then he recently tried to come back in the crew. So he thought that was suspicious all on its own, which he was right, because Terry has been studying war, and Terry knows how to go to war. So he was absolutely right, but Meech was already 10 steps ahead of him, because he had somebody who wanted Stax to see that he was being sincere, and he was not. So Terry and Meech was spotted in Remy's neighborhood, and somebody called Stax to let him know, and he couldn't figure out why they would be there at that time. And so I guess he went ahead and called the MK boys to let them know that both crews was going to be at the same location. I'm not certain, but, you know, Meech did approach Remy and make the proposal to him. He let him know, we'll always be enemies because what you did to my homeboy Ty. But right now, there's a, you know, a bigger picture we need to look at. And he was like, you know, Stax is pretty much trying to set us up for the MK boys to ambush both our sets. And, you know, he was just basically like, I ain't siding with you. I'd rather die than to go down with you. And they pull and draw on each other. And out of nowhere, the MK boys come and they start shooting. Everybody shooting up everybody. Now, we had already seen, and I knew something was going to happen. When he was talking with Real about his music, when he was talking to Real about his music, and he was like, nah, you going to get into your music. You're not going to stay in these streets or whatever. I said, something going to happen to that boy. So that's what it always happened. When somebody try to give you a pass to get away from the danger, something happened and you get taken out. And so during the shootout, he definitely loses his life, and that kills Meech all the way around. But they are shooting back and forth, and they basically get down to no artillery, and the MK boys is closing in on them. They done, you know, a lot of people on both crews have been killed. And out of nowhere, when it looked like Meech and Terry didn't have no way to get out, here come BMF out of Detroit. They come through. And all of them, they come through and they save the day and make a way for Meech and Terry to get away. And they do. And we do see Stax, you know, big head self. He's standing there with the MK boys, and as soon as it's all over, they kill him. And they kill him, and he was like, I was so happy. I was like, go down, son, go down, lay down, you lay down. And so, now let me tell y'all about Bryant, because I can't forget about Bryant. Bryant went to, you know, Veronica's house, where Veronica and Kobe were, and they were having a moment. They did some karaoke and whatnot, but Bryant, he's upset about what's happening to his son, because when he went to go see his son in jail, he was beat up. And this is the part I didn't like. I didn't like the fact that, okay, we saw last week that Bryant failed Henrietta, and Henrietta was very mad, and she said that she was going to pull the protection for Bryant's son. What I didn't like the writers doing was having his son not only have his protection pulled and be beat up, because we see how fragile this boy is, and a lot of us have kids that are just like him. I do. I mean, I might be hood, but my kids ain't. You know, I didn't raise them to be street and all of those things. My boys, they got street sense a little bit, but they not street savvy like that. They just not. And I didn't raise them that way. And so Kevin's story is really dear to me, because I can see my sons and him at some point in their life. You know, they toughened up as they got older, but, you know, sometimes a kid just wants to be in the comic books. They don't want to be into fighting and gang activities and things like that. And so it really hurt me to see him so defeated. And when he went to tell his father about the sexual assault, I was like, now, why would they have to assault him? Why would they write that part? And I hope it don't. Yeah, it's going to make me cry again. So I have to cut all this out. Because I'm a gangster. But I don't understand why they felt like they needed to have this boy sexually assaulted. Like, I don't understand why. I don't understand that part. Like, y'all could have saved that. Just the fact of of him feeling protected at one point, and then us learning that his protection was lifted and he was beat up, and we know how scared this boy was enough. Y'all didn't have to go that extra mile to put that out there. Y'all didn't have to do that. That's just my opinion, and that made me extremely upset. Extremely upset because it was unnecessary. And so Bryant went to, his partner's house to get help because he was trying to tell Kevin, hold on, hang in there. I need you to hang in there. And Kevin just kind of looked at him, and I was like, ooh, that baby ain't gonna be able to hold on no more. You keep telling him you're gonna get him out, and he's still in there, and things are happening to him, and this is very extreme. So as he's trying to talk to Veronica, Kobe has learned that he was, in the ambulance that shot up Veronica. So she's like ready to lock him up. So she's really not trying to hear anything he's got to say. So he tells her to shut up because it's about his son. No sooner than he gets to trying to tell Veronica what's going on, shots ring out. And a whole shootout ensues, because Veronica's place is now being shot up. We found out it's Henrietta Uglass out there, shooting up, Veronica's house. And in the process, she shoots and kills Kobe. They did shoot the driver of the car that was, transporting Henrietta, but, they killed, well, I don't know if she's dead, but she didn't look like she was going to make it. But Kobe is shot up and she could barely breathe. She was heaving for air. So something's filling her lungs. So I'm hoping that she doesn't die because kind of like the character. But like I said, sometimes they put these characters on these shows to have someone to kill later. And the fact that she was talking about she was going to call her dad after a long time, makes me feel like, yeah, they probably about to take her out because they ain't going to let her call her dad. They ain't going to do that. Okay, so Bryant goes, because I guess he gets a call from the jail that something has happened with Kevin. And I just cannot believe that in the same episode that they had this boy's protection removed and they had this boy sexually assaulted, that they had this boy unalive himself. Like, are you serious right now? And the note, I'm just not like you, Dad. I love you. You know what? I wasn't no more good, because that's one thing I would never want to face is my child taking themselves away from this earth. Like, I would never want to face that my child has so many adversities and so many issues and problems that they could not solve or felt there was no end to, that they felt like the best thing for them to do was to no longer breathe or be a part of this experiment. I would have listened. I can't fathom, I can't imagine. And I thank God that I can't imagine. And my heart goes out to any and everyone who has lost a child, especially to suicide, because that's got to be one of the toughest things to overcome in life, is that particular situation. So my heart goes out to each and every one of you. I wish that they didn't put those types of things in these TV shows unnecessarily, because there's really no reason for them to have that on this show. Like, for me, it was all a bit much for Kevin, the only innocent person on this whole show, to actually have to go through. It was just unnecessary to me. So we did see them convene at Meech's place, and Terry's pretty much ready to go back to Detroit. He's ready for Meech to get himself ready to go back to Detroit, and Meech is like, I ain't going nowhere. They family too, and I'm here now. And so that's that on that. And Angel could see that he was really dedicated to Atlanta and possibly their little relationship. So I believe she's about to be his ride or die, that he's been looking for. Because she was already, on the skimpy side of things anyway. But, now she gets to legitimize herself a little bit, rolling with Meech. And so I think that's a pretty good deal. So Terry's headed back to Detroit to deal with the beef between Henrietta. And I believe that Bryant is definitely going to be on a vengeance and on a rage to get and take Henrietta out. I don't see why he would allow her to live after what she allowed to happen to his son. And I'm pretty sure she's the one that ordered the SA and everything else that happened to him. So, yeah, I'm going to need him to really, really put his foot up her tail. Because that was just unnecessary. Before she even found out what happened, she had that boy assaulted. And that's just unnecessary and wrong. So I definitely need to see something really bad happen to Henrietta before the season is out. I need to see that. Because she'd have made me mad. And I'm ready to... You don't scare me. You don't scare me, lady, at all. With that tough stuff. Because my granny used to say, if you're tough, you ain't got to say you're tough. And you do too much to try to prove that you tough to people. And I don't like it. I don't know nobody like you in the world. I don't even know a man that's like you. Like, you are just extra for no reason. And I can't stand your character. I said what I said. And I meant it and I stand on it. So, I'm going to end the review right there because I've already gone way too long. Way too long. But again, this was a very, very jam-packed episode. And I'm not mad at it. And I think I covered everything. Anything that I forgot, put it in the comments. Y'all know I really get right back to them really, really quick. So you won't have to wait too long. And we can definitely talk about it. Okay? All right. So if you haven't already, please hit my subscribe button down at the bottom. Thank you very much. And if you are not the subscribing type, you know what? You got to the end of this video, and that's more than I can ask of anybody. So thank you. And that is my $5.02. Peace.